Workflow virtualization is the process of capturing all of the properties of a workflow independently of where the workflows will be executed. Workflows are comprised of a set of processes that are used to ingest data, apply analyses, and store the results. Workflows in the iRODS data grid are composed by chaining together microservices within a rule and then executing the rule within the iRODS rule engine. The iRODS workflows support queries on state information, loops over result sets, and conditional tests on state information. Workflows can also be created by encapsulating an application in a machine image, then managing the execution of the application at a remote site using a traditional workflow engine such as Condor or Pegasus or Kepler. These systems manage the movement of a workflow to a computation site. The workflow properties that can be virtualized include the name of the workflow, the organization of the workflow in a collection, sharing of workflows through access controls, the execution of a workflow at a remote location, generation of the provenance of a workflow, versioning of workflow output, re-execution of workflows, and publication of workflows. The procedures executed within the iRODS data grid are workflows. They chain together basic operations that exchange information through in-memory structures, through persistent state information in the metadata catalog, or through files. Examples of workflows include the processing steps needed to replicate files in a collection, the extraction of metadata from a file and registration into the metadata catalog, the assignment of access controls to files in a collection, the creation of derived data products. The workflows typically use input parameters, access state information, and then apply operations to a set of files. A management procedure can be re-executed many times. Cases that require re-execution include when new files are added to a collection, when reports are generated each week or month, when verification is needed of collection properties. There are multiple ways to track the re-execution of a workflow. The iRODS data grid can register the workflow, associate input parameters and input files with the workflow, and then version the output files generated by the workflow. A history is maintained of every execution. Alternatively, the events that characterize the actions performed by the workflow can be stored as premise, preservation metadata implementation strategies, information in an external database. The database can be queried to see which workflows were run. Workflows are traditionally used to generate some form of a derived data product. Examples of derived products include transformed data formats, analysis reports, and administrative reports. Analysis procedures may also generate persistent state information that is registered into the metadata catalog. An example is the extraction and registration of descriptive metadata for a file. The analysis results may be saved in a file, saved as metadata, or saved in an external index. The most common administrative procedure is the creation of a report that summarizes a collection property, such as the number of files in a collection, or the size of a collection, or the usage of a collection. Workflow structured objects are composed by associating a workflow, a parameter file that defines the input parameters and input files, and an output collection that holds the results from executing the workflow. An example of an analysis procedure is a hydrology watershed analysis. This workflow has multiple steps that can be controlled by the iRODS rule language. Based on input parameters, identify the region or watershed that will be analyzed, retrieve data sets from federal agency repositories for the physical parameters that are needed, such as elevation, precipitation, soil type, and wind, map the physical variables to the watershed coordinates, execute the watershed analysis, visualize the results, store the output. A project that provides hydrology watershed analyses that are controlled through the iRODS data grid is the HydroShare project. Information about this project can be found at www.hydroshare.org. Take 7 minutes and complete exercise number 10. Write a paragraph on the workflow properties you believe will be most important. Consider types of data management workflows, consider types of analysis workflows, decide whether re-execution is needed, such as report generation, and whether provenance is needed, such as in the hydrology watershed analysis. Please load your paragraph into the lifetime library in the sub-collection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.